so strong enough.
Welcome back everybody to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making rock candy, and I think the appropriate word for the day is buttload. You're going to need a buttload of sugar. You're going to need a buttload of powdered sugar, a buttload of light corn syrup, and a buttload of white granulated sugar. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the tools that you're going to need. You're going to need a heavier bottom sauce pot, at least 5 quarts deep, at least 5 quarts. You're going to need a spidge or a spatula, people call them. I call it a spidge, and a wooden spoon. The candy thermometer is an absolute must. You can't make it without it, because this is what tells you when it's time to take it off the burner. A glass cake pan, a little bit of water, 1 cup of water. I'll go through how much you need of everything here in a little bit. But you're going to need, at least I do, otherwise you're just running around and, you know, redoing everything. Having to wash over and over and over. So I just have a whole bunch of cups here because everything in here is either going to call for 1 cup and something. So I just have a bunch of 1 cups and quarter cups. And let's see, what else do you need? Oh, these are an absolute must. On a serious note, I burned myself really bad a couple of years ago. When maybe you've seen me in my other videos, and you'll notice that I have these marks on my forearm here. I was on like my 15th batch, and I got careless, and I was getting tired, and I was not paying attention, and I had a bunch of 350-degree candy fall on my arm, and that serves as a reminder that I need to wear these, because that was seriously not cool. It hurt really bad, and it hurt bad for a long time. But I'm going to make today, I'm going to make peppermint, and I'm going to use leaf green, and this is by Wilton. This isn't a liquid food coloring. I don't recommend you use liquid for one reason. It can compromise how hard your candy is going to get. And if you're having a hard time getting it hard, then go see a doctor. No, seriously, if the reason why your candy is not setting up, use gel and not the liquid kind. Because, you know, the first thing when somebody says the word food coloring, you think, oh, it's the egg dye stuff, you know, where you squirt out of the bottle. Well, this is a gel kind, and it's just better to use when you're doing this kind of thing, when a product has to be a certain way, which candy does. I mean, this is called rock candy. I moved you over here to my baker's table. I went ahead and I smeared a little butter in the bottom of this pan, because parchment paper is notorious for being a pain in the ass to get into anything that it's not supposed to fit into. So I'm going to take a piece out, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I bought the 100-foot roll this year because it's Christmas, and I'm living large. And then I'm just going to kind of clean up the raggedy edge here. It never comes out of it right. I don't care what you do. And I'm just going to kind of roll it backwards. Ah, shit. Shoot. Sorry. Okay. I try to be good. I really do. It's hard though. Sometimes it's really hard. Okay. So now that that's in there like that, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to fold it a little bit. I was going to roll it backwards, but it seems to be laying pretty good by itself now. So just going to fold the ends and get into some kind of remnants of this. And then I'm just going to stick it in the bottom like that. Want to make sure your edges Make sure your edges are up, because that's what you're going to need to grab it with. All right, good deal. It's in there. Preparation is key. You don't want to be running around in your kitchen at the last second saying, oh my God, what did I do with this? Where did I go with that? Where did I put this? Because making candy is time sensitive, so you gotta have it together. Preparation is key. We're back over at the stove now. We're getting ready to put our ingredients in to start our candy. And when it comes to your thermometer, you gotta make sure that you don't have it touching the bottom of your pan. You want it on the side to where it's not touching. You want it, the tip of that to be in the mixture. Otherwise, you're not going to get a true reading. It's going to read hotter than what it really is. So you're going to do that. And now And now with our wooden spoon, we're just going to start stirring that up a little bit. I think I might turn it down a little bit because mine's a gas stove, so it gets hotter right away. And we're just going to let this, I'm going to stir it until it becomes all mixed up and melted. And once I pull it off the heat, then I will put my food coloring in it. Again, some people will say butter the glass pan, and so that the candy doesn't stick to the glass. Yeah, no, I do the parchment paper thing. Works much easier for me. And when I was telling you about my arm and how it got burned, and I said it was 350 degrees, it really was 350 degrees because I wasn't paying attention. So making candy, you can't walk away from it. It's not something that you can just walk away from. I mean, maybe for maybe a minute or two before it starts boiling, that's fine, but you should be with it at all times, because once it starts, it really starts, and it can boil up and over the top, and that is one hell of a mess that you do not want to have to deal with. See, I've made all these mistakes so that you don't have to. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a couple of minutes, and then I'll come back and I'll stir it up a little bit more. So we are almost to a hard crack, and this is time sensitive, so I can't be in two places at once. So I'm telling you right now that, okay, we're almost to a hard crack, and once it hits that hard crack, you want to remove it from the heat and get your oil in it and your food coloring in it and stir it up and get it into your pan as quickly as possible, but also safely as possible. I'm sorry, I'm concentrating. I'm looking at it right now. I gotta make sure that I don't go over that limit there of 300. Don't forget to put your gloves on. Use a piece of parchment paper to leave your thermometer on and your wooden spoon because it'll stick to everything. All right, we are just about there. And we're there. Take it off. Use your spatula. Put your flavoring in. And mix it around a little bit. Ooh, and it will be strong. That is peppermint if I've ever smelled it. What I do with this, take a little bit on my butter knife and just swirl it around in there quickly. All right, it's good. Get your gloves on. This is how I got burned really bad by not paying attention to what I was doing. All right. Parchment paper or candy. Just gonna slowly pour it in there, just like that. Good deal. It's beautiful. I'm just going to take my spidge here and just kind of move it around a little bit. Making sure that everything's pretty much even. It's not always perfect, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, because you're going to bust it up anyway. And we'll be doing that in a little bit. This has got to completely cool down. And because I live in a place where when I walk outside, my face hurts, it won't take that long. Because I'm just going to leave this sit on this board here for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move it to the outside. Now we are at the point to where we get to break stuff. Get to break it up. Now, it's been outside for, I don't know, maybe an hour, but it's really cold where I live. So it's going to come out of here pretty easily. See? Okay. Pretty easy. Okay, now we've got that out of there. And what I do, how I break it up, is because this stuff can become quite messy. Because it's almost like shards of glass. So every year I will go and I will find a cheap pillowcase at a thrift store for $1 or 50 cents or whatever it is. And I didn't mind doing this when I was a kid because I wasn't the one that had to do the cleaning up. But I'll take another piece of parchment paper, put that over the top of it, put it in said pillowcase, make sure it's covered, and start breaking it up. And I end up having to buy a new one every year because this one gets holes in it. See what we got. And I think, yeah, we got some big pieces in there. Those will have to be cut down to size. Crunched up a little more. I mean, obviously that's way too big of a piece. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep working away at it. And we're back at my baker's table, and you're going to put 1 bag of powdered sugar in a large bowl. And then what you're going to basically do is go through and pick each one, you know, make sure that they're not giant sizes, because, you know, nobody's going to eat this big of a piece of candy. Nobody wants that much of it. And plus you got to separate it out from this tiny stuff down here. You got to separate it from that. So, and this is how this is done. You just do it by hand. And then once you get go through it and everything is sifted out from it. I gotta find my spoon. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. And then you're just gonna mix these up in here because you want the powdered sugar to stick to them, because this helps them not stick together while they're packaged. So you just do that, and then I have found that it's just easier to just take it in your hand, put it through your sifter. It's like digging for buried treasure in here. All right. And then what you're going to do is sift out the sugar that's on them, and then that's what you're going to be left with. And then what I do is, because I make so much of it at once, I don't, and when I send it out, I mean, I don't want them to have, 30 pieces of peppermint and only 2 pieces of raspberry flavored. So I will put these all in separate bags and label them differently. That way, when I'm packaging them, I can make sure they get like 5 or 10 of each. So we just put them all in here. And then put maybe a little pinch of powdered sugar in it, just to make sure, just in case there's any moisture left in there. But that is what it's going to look like, and it's great. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves this stuff. So I went through and I've picked out as many pieces of candy that I'm satisfied that can be labeled as a piece of candy. I mean, some of these are just, what's left in here is just too small. It is. And there's always quite a bit left over because it shatters like glass. And there's always more tinier pieces than there are bigger pieces. But doing it this way saves a lot on cleaning. I mean, because if you could see the rest of my kitchen right now, it looks like somebody put a spoon through the roof and stirred it. Baking's messy, cooking is messy. And, I'm getting better about, like, whoever's watching this, their kitchen's going to be messy if they're baking or cooking too. So, I'm a human. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bag here, my pillowcase, and I'm going to turn it upside down inside of this grocery bag. And then I'll use this again. But this is what's left. And this I'll just keep probably in the corner on the floor once I'm done with the rest of my candy. Then it'll probably be a full bag. All right, well, I'm here and they're done. I haven't tried them yet, but I think I'm going to. Every cook and every chef should try their own product before they go and send it out to somebody else, right? Let's see. Oh, very pepperminty. Good stuff. Well, I got a lot more of this to make, just in different flavors. So until next time, go make your own candy.
It's so strong.